So this is a test video that I've been promising for a while about doing some fly tying videos where I'm changing angles. So you've got camera 1, which is a forward facing angle. Camera 2 would be an over the shoulder angle so that you can get information and detail on the actual process of certain things that I'm doing. So this video is going to have a certain amount of voiceover where I'm kind of explaining the different angles and what I'm doing, but also I'm going to include some of the original audio so that you can see that while the audio will sync with my hands and what I'm doing. And I'll explain a little bit more kind of the purpose of this particular video. But right here, this is a fly called the Babcock. It's a wet fly that has a tail and wing that has black and yellow quills in it. I simply set it up. I've got the tip in, and right now I'm going to do the tail. So right about here is a transition to camera number 2, which is over the shoulder. And this is showing you the actual process of me making that tail. I will include some of the audio in the resulting video here so that, again, you can see me, my hands and my gestures and things will sync up with the audio. And ideally, in the long run, that's what you would see, is you would see more the audio of me actually while I'm recording it. But again, this is just kind of a test video. It's kind of a, for me at least, proof of concept. Other people have done these videos and they're good at it. I'm just kind of winging this and seeing what all it's going to take. I think I've mentioned in a few other posts and other videos about this at different times that this is something I've wanted to do for a while. The idea is that if I were doing the video on the Babcock, I might have the initial video, like the other wet fly videos that I do, they're all from that forward-facing camera, call it camera 1. And that would be free out there on YouTube to everybody to see. But then I might do a second video like this, where I'm switching different angles. So the video will be a little bit longer, but it'll have a little more content to it. And that would probably be up on the Dressed Irons Guild for the supporters of the Guild. Maybe eventually a year from now, it would be public to everybody else, that sort of thing. But the idea is to get some additional content, more in-depth content out there for the supporters. The difficulty is I'm not certain in terms of how much it's going to entail for me to do these videos, the extra work involved, getting the video and the audio all synced up, and getting that worked out, and then publishing that video. So not to say that I don't think it's worth it, I think it is, but then I'll have to kind of cherry pick which videos I'm going to do this with. So that's the idea behind this. As you can see, I'm putting the tail together, and I show you how I clip out each of the slips from the yellow and from the black. I put them together and everything else. I'm going to segue into some of the actual audio right here from that, so it'll match up with my hands and everything, just so you can hear that for a little bit. It just doesn't work well. And they fall apart on you and they don't fit right. This came unzipped. Now I'll segue back into some of the original audio further on as the video goes, so you can see how it would more or less be in the actual final video. That the audio, it wouldn't be a voiceover like this. The audio would actually match up with what I'm doing and what I'm explaining, which is kind of the idea. I'm going to try and zoom in here just to see if I do a post-production zoom, how that looks, versus I'll probably have to figure out how to zoom in closer and get this, so the tail sections right here are much clearer, as well as then figure out how do I keep that all in frame I don't end up doing it all out of frame and have to redo it, things like that. So, but I'm going to zoom in here and then zoom back out. Now, this is me switching back over to the forward camera, camera number 1, where you would actually then see me tie in the actual tail. And this is something I've done in so many wet fly videos so far in terms of tying that in and then what I'm doing. I think I explained here that the next step is putting in the rib and then the floss for the body and everything. But because this isn't an actual full-length tying video, I'm just going to go ahead and do that off camera, and I'm going to segue into having the body and everything in right here. And then now I'm talking about putting in the throat. I'm going to go ahead and use the original audio here as it transitions over and then talks about processing the actual throat. This is the dull side here. This is the shiny side. Some will say it's concave, the non-concave side. The reason I'm going to do this first is, like the wing, I want, this is going to be the slip that is on my side of the throat. So I peel this off, make certain it's together, and I just set it down on the table, which in production videos would look better than this. Anyway, then I flip it over to the other side, do the same thing, process that. Again, real quick, I'm going to zoom in post-production here. It can get kind of grainy, is the only thing. So I may, again, have to figure out how to get the camera angle right, because you can see my hand kind of gets in the way there, and zoom in on that so that it's clearer for you, the viewer, while I'm doing this process. And then here, now we're going to switch over to the first camera, and I'll tie in that throat. And cut back to camera 1. And look, magically it's back in there. Again, similar to the tail, what I'm going to do is I'm going to clip the black goose first. And again, it's only about 2 to 3 barbs. It's very thin. Because I want to do the same thing as I did with the tail. Actually, I did it backwards with the tail. But I have, if you look at your yellow, okay, when you have these together like the black, this part here that flares out that way to be my wing on that side. This one's going to be the wing on this side. What I want to cut out first is the wing on my side, because when I set it. And again, for some of this, I'm just going to go ahead and go with the original audio to get, one of the slips, or I should say one of the sides of the wings together. The only thing that I can see so far is at this angle, potentially getting the camera at a steeper angle and then zoomed in more so that you can see it a little bit clearer. Like I said, a method is a process that you go through to minimize the hand-to-hand movement on these and maximize, I don't throw things around, maximize the quality of the wing. I clip these like this, and this is going to be the side that comes to my side. As you can see, it flares this way. So I flip this over, and I get those tips nice and even, and I can peel that out. Setting the rest of the black goose aside, I'll manage this and massage it. As you can see, the tip's not quite right. It's not even up here. So I can peel this off, put this back in, getting those tips evened up. Normally, I have some holes in this particular slip right here, and I would not accept that. For a fishing fly, I probably would, but This is the purpose of this is a demo. Now I pick up that feather that is my near slip, this side here, and this is why I pre-cut this out. Once I get that put in place and done, I can take this, flip it over, match up the tips, and peel that out. Now I'm done with that particular side of the wing. Now, both of these, the top and the bottom, are a little wide. So that's getting the one side of the wing put together. Again, the idea is to switch from the first camera to the second camera so that you can see the process of actually putting the wing together. Most of my videos, the wing's already put together. I just pick it up and I tie it in. I have to refine some of that a little bit in terms of maybe having some things pre-set up and or just not talking so much, maybe just, getting it done a little bit quicker there. But as you can see, for this particular one, there are a number of steps that have to happen to get that all done. And there's going to be little things that pop up. And that's the whole idea, is to show you how this is done step by step, just to give you a little bit more information. So that's getting the second wing together. See, normally that would just come right out and attach. Sometimes one quill doesn't match up well enough with another one and you have some issues, but that's all part of fly tying. Keeping in mind, this is a test video, just going from one angle to another, trying to flesh out the little things that I need to do. And I'm just looking to get some feedback from people in terms of this. Is this something they would like to see? Is this something they would support over on the guild as being a member to get this kind of extra content? Or if it just doesn't add much to, what they're learning and what they're tying, that it's not worth their time to sit and watch this. I don't know. I find that most people like the longer format videos that give them more information. So here, what I'm doing is getting the actual wing together, and then I'll be switching over to the first camera to go ahead and tie that in. A little bit of preening here. And again, I have to work on zooming in so you're seeing that a little bit more, but then me being aware of how tiny the frame is, but I have to keep things inside the frame so that you can see it. Of course, understand as I'm processing this, I'm looking at a small window that has the video in while I'm doing this. Whereas when this is blown up full screen, the detail may be well enough. So here I'm tying in that wing, and that pretty much is going to finish the fly. The rest of the video would be me trimming that, putting a head on it, and all of that stuff. So that would actually complete the Babcock. Now this is, again, not intended to be a instructional video, although for those people who are watching it and know how these things are done, it would be a instructional video. You can certainly figure out how to tie this fly and do a good job with it. As you can see, I'm not in my normal environment while I'm doing this. The lighting is a little bit starker, a little more contrast. The table, the background, things like this are not the normal. This was mostly just to do a test of bouncing from, going from one camera angle to another to see how that works out. So I'm going to make this one public. It's also going to be up on Locals, and I'll post something on Instagram. I'm looking for feedback. Take a look at the different angles, the transitions, and some of the audio. Just give me your feedback, what you think in terms of this is something you'd be interested in seeing, or this has no benefit to you. It's not clear enough when I switch over to camera 2. You're not seeing enough detail. anything like that. I'm just looking for a little bit of feedback from the community, what you think, and that will help me to determine how I'm going to proceed. So thanks for watching today.